What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Raw Post Show. We got Tempest today filling in for Santi. It is Monday, August 4th. It is the night after SummerSlam, Raw after SummerSlam. Tempest, it is good to be on here today. First and foremost, how are you, man?
I'm doing all right. It's been a really weird 24 hours, and it's been difficult to exist in a wrestling space over those 24 hours, but that's the gig, that's the job, and I watched Raw and have thoughts about it, so let's get into it.
Let's get it on tonight. Let's go. All right. Sorry. Everyone got me in this like funky, spunky mood where now all of these songs are like stuck in my head right now. So I'm not even speaking anymore in words. I'm speaking now in lyrics. But anyways, we got to get into this show. However, before we get started, I lost a bet when we were watching SummerSlam. One of our viewers here, Tracy, basically said that if Seth won, and he did, I would have to come on here and say 10 nice things about Seth Rollins. So your girl is owning up to her bet. I do not have a list plan, so I am winging this. Chat, you're going to have to help me out here. But here we go. 10 nice things about Seth Rollins because I am a woman of my word. All right. 1, Seth Rollins is a good world heavyweight champion. I've seen him now with the championship belt multiple times, and each time I have felt that he has done a good job. 2, I really like Seth Rollins' cash-in at WrestleMania 31. Was it 31? It was 31. Yes, I was there. In Santa Clara. And that was a really awesome moment. And I was very happy for Seth Rollins when that happened. So he did a good job cashing in that year. 3, Seth Rollins did a really good job at picking a very, very hot and talented wife in Becky Lynch. So I say kudos. Good job, Seth Rollins, for finding yourself a hot wife. 4, Seth Rollins is a girl dad. And I love the way that he talks about his daughter and how proud he is to be a girl dad. So shout out to Seth Rollins on that. 5, I like that Seth Rollins has the guts to wear all of these crazy outfits, even if he's out there, looking like Lady Gaga, which I love Lady Gaga, by the way, or Cruella de Vil, or all of these other things that people have said. He has the guts to go out there and wear that clothes. 6.
6 comes after 5. You got this.
Hold on, I'm thinking. Seth has great hair, by the way. Seth has phenomenal hair. So shout out to him. The hairline is great. 7, I love Seth Rollins' matches. Actually, that was going to be first, but I forgot to say it first. Seth Rollins is actually a really great wrestler, so I want to make sure to throw that out there. I feel like he always works a fun pacing that I never get bored at, so shout out to Seth for that. Steph's always very nice in interviews. Whether I've interviewed him or other people have interviewed him, I always feel like he's really nice to everybody. So shout out to Seth on that.
You got 2 more. You can do it.
Oh, okay. Seth did a really great job when he was in the Shield, and it was really cool to see him be part of an iconic stable. All right. And then 10. Hold on. Let me think. What haven't I said? Fuck. 10. You know what? I don't recall ever hating a Seth Rollins match. Does that count? Like, he has a good collection of matches? Really good collection of matches. I'm trying to think if there's a Seth Rollins match that I hate. And I don't think I have one. So I feel like that one definitely has to go up there. Seth has a really great collection of matches. I did it! 10 nice things about Seth Rollins. All right,
a couple of those are kind of similar. Being a good wrestler and having good matches are pretty close, but to run out of steam at the end.
You can be a good wrestler and have bad matches. Fine, should I throw another 10?
I suppose it's true. No, I think it's fair. I'm not going to be the arbiter of this. I liked him when he was the
Messiah. That was fun. He was a good Messiah.
Mm-hmm.
See, I gave 11. I count that as 11.
I like one of them was just that he has a daughter. And he loves his daughter. Which, that is nice an admirable quality. That's a good quality for a man to have.
Exactly. Alrighty, guys, let's go ahead and get right into the show here. So, we got quite of a lot to get into, and I want to kick things off with Seth Rollins. Since we're on the topic of Seth, we might as well stick with that first. So, Seth Rollins today had a confrontation with LA Knight, had a promo also to kick off the show where he was basically telling people, shame on everybody for not supporting him in everything that he's done since WrestleMania, right? He's confronted by LA Knight. LA Knight basically calls him out on his BS and everything that has happened since Saturday night's main event. This then leads to a match here in the main event between Seth and LA Knight, in which at one point Seth Rollins is about to curb stomp LA Knight into the concrete floor, but CM Punk comes in and attacks Seth Rollins. So not only does he attack him, but he also kind of saves LA Knight in this situation. Now, before we get into the melee that ensued afterwards, what did you think of this portion of the show, from the promo to the actual matchup, and then we'll get into the melee?
Well, it was what I suggested they might do on Saturday night, so of course I'm going to think it was a great idea. You know, tying in the Saturday night's main event deal where, yeah, Seth, you can go about feigning this injury to gain a one-up on the competition, and no one expects a cash-in when that happens, sure. But of course, the trade-off of that is that you had to lose that match to do it. And so to acknowledge that loss, to give LA Knight a way back into a main event title picture, I think that was a very smart move. I thought the finish was like, I don't know, like, it was kind of lame, just there being a DQ finish in the main event. You know, it's not a clean finish. And I guess the trade-off of that is, yeah, it meant that we got this big brawl, chaotic moment at the end of the show, which I thought was, you know, the highlight of the show. And maybe it's going to mean now that LA Knight can remain in that title picture for even longer than he would have done if this was just kind of a one and done, nice first title defense for Seth Rollins. So I thought the main event was solidly worked. I thought that Adam Pearce on this show being like, you know what, I've had enough of this. We're going to have a crazy night. Here's some exciting things. I think that was a good way to tie that together at the end, with everybody coming out, because, you know, that is the sort of thing he was trying to avoid, and he's kind of losing control of this with this new heel faction on the loose. I thought the presentation of all of these things with LA Knight and CM Punk and Seth Rollins tied together on the show was done fairly well. I would have maybe, if I had like one critique of it, would have liked some sort of backstage segment with the Vision, if that is what they are to be called, kind of backstage throughout the show. Because it didn't feel like they were the narrative thread of the show. It just felt like they kind of bookended it. You know, they opened the show and they closed the show. But even like the Sheamus and Rusev thing, where they were fighting throughout backstage, that felt like more of the ongoing storyline throughout the night. And I would have just liked a bit more feeling of like presence of Seth Rollins and his new group throughout the show as it went on. But again, that's
it could have
just
been
a
something.
minor critique.
It could have been as something as simple of maybe them backstage talking about how Braun and Braun Breaker are both banned from ringside in the main event. So it really could have been something simple just to kind of keep the thread of the show instead of, like you said, just having the bookends for both of them. But I'm thinking that they probably found, because they did have a lot of backstage segments today with a lot of different parties, matches. Like in the first 44 minutes, they had 3 backstage segments, or not all were backstage, but they had 3 moments where they had to make matches for later on in the show in like the first 44 minutes of the show. So I feel like they maybe thought, okay, well, we got a lot already. I think for me, if I had any critique, I was actually maybe not even a critique, but I was more surprised that Seth Rollins didn't gloat to everybody about having tricked everyone. That was something that really wasn't necessarily talked about as much as I thought it would have been in the promo. So that was the one note that I had there. I know you mentioned the ending, not really liking it, ending in a DQ. I was okay with it because here's the thing. I've gotten to the point where it's been weird, right? With LA Knight, where he's the guy, but he like, in terms of like people like him, but it really hasn't gone anywhere with LA Knight, and him winning in that weird way at Saturday night's main event. All right, still a win. It was weird, but he still won, right? And then this way, it kind of felt like they don't want to necessarily pin LA Knight. Does that make sense? But at the same time, Seth Rollins is the world heavyweight champion. So if anyone's going to pin you, it might as well be the world heavyweight champion. But I also feel that this kind of connected nicely, only because, like I said, CM Punk did technically save LA Knight's life there. Someone curb stomps anybody on a concrete, we're probably going to be dead after that. So technically, he saved his life. And we have a couple of people here that are mentioning how this might be starting to shape up a possible War Games team down the line. I know we're still a little bits away, but we got time to get there. But what we had at the end of it was CM Punk helping LA Knight. And then we also had Roman Reigns come out and also go after, take out Bronson, take out Braun, and try to go after Seth Rollins. But of course, Seth Rollins, kind of taking the chicken shit way out. But in the end, it all turned into like a massive melee where Roman Reigns was taken out by the Vision. So that's where we're at on that. Do you kind of see this as a possibility of where we're starting to head over for a possible War Games, or do you think we're thinking too far in advance?
I think we might be looking too far in advance, just in the sense of as soon as the clock hits November, then it's like, all right, gang warfare time. Everybody grab a team. It's time for War Games. It wouldn't surprise me if it felt quite as organic, this time around. In various years, there are varying degrees of how far in advance it feels like they plan out the War Games stuff. Last year was maybe a better example than most with the dual bloodline deal. But as far as this one goes, I wouldn't be surprised by any means if you have the top heel faction being one of the ones that's going to be in the mix for War Games. I think that's a pretty safe bet, all things considered. I liked Roman Reigns getting involved in this. I think the overall climactic angle of tonight's show was definitely the focal point of it all. It was definitely like the thing where the most stuff was happening. Elsewhere on the show, I thought it was, kind of middling, a little uncreative in times. It was just kind of a bunch of matches. Not a lot of important fallout of SummerSlam. There were a couple things that we'll get to, of course, but this felt like the biggest thing. And again, maybe I just wanted the world title scene to kind of play throughout the show a little bit as I was watching some of the other matches and not really being that invested in them. But saving CM Punk for the run-in in the main event meant that we didn't get like a cool CM Punk promo on this show for something kind of in the middle of the show to be like one of the big, moments of the night after SummerSlam. I'm sure that's now being saved for like next week. I'm sure he'll cut a promo on next week's show, and this is just me going like, but I wanted it now, and the show that I'm watching right now.
I think we always want CM Punk promos.
Naturally, it's hard to make a show worse with one, but that was just kind of my feeling, is everything was saved for the end, and it made the end very good, but I think as a result, it made parts of the middle of the show a little bit, inconsequential.
My favorite part was when Bronson Reed took Roman Reigns' shoes again. I think the camera missed it because by the end of it, we just saw him with the new shoes. And I'm like, wait, those are Roman's shoes. Is it weird that now I kind of want him not just to always steal Roman's shoes? I just want him to steal anybody's shoes. Like someone said when he took out CM Punk, imagine had he taken CM Punk's shoes too. And he's just taking people's shoes like he's his victim. You know how when they have like murderers, they go out there and they always like take something from the victim? That's Bronson Reed, except with a crazy foot fetish, apparently.
He needs to tie every pair of shoes together, and it's going to be like this giant chain link of all the shoes that he's taken from his victims. I'm here for it. Sure, it's a bit goofy and wacky, but it's happened more than once now. Now it's a trend. You can't just stop now. You got to keep going for the shoes. And I know Roman Reigns has got taste. Those are some expensive shoes. If he wants to make a little bit of extra money on top of his WWE downside, selling those shoes, that's the way to go.
This is his retirement fund right here. That's what Bronson Reed is doing. He's like, I don't trust WWE. Let me make sure I get some shoes just in case, you never know. And now he even has a pretty nice, colorful collection. Some white shoes, some red shoes. It's all looking pretty good for Bronson Reed. I want to thank Infamous Raider Loco for his gifting 5 DWO memberships. Thank you so much, Frank. You're so giving on here. Thank you. We got Lewis Rothel. Hey, Lewis, good to see you again. He says, Bronson shoe thief greater than Mercedes belt collector. Hey, look, I've laughed way harder seeing Bronson take people's shoes. So I gotta shout out the homie Bronson. Plus, you guys know, I don't know if you know this, Tempest, but here at the DWO, we are the biggest. We are the Bronson Reed fan club. Like, we're the official fan club and everything. Like, we even got a graphic. Do you want to see our Bronson Reed graphic?
Of course I do.
Okay, let me pull it up. Hold on 1 second. It's somewhere in here. I should have been ready. Had I promoted it, I should have mentioned it. Ah, crap. Hold on. Wait, I swear to God, I have it. All right, here we go. Here's my Bronson Reed graphic. It's just a bunch of meat on the screen.
This is multi-purpose. This can be used for like any time a big man has a match in wrestling.
I do.
These days.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, you need to do the Bronson Reed. He's gonna get enough shoes that he's just gonna be covered in shoes, and then someone's gonna give him a German suplex, like Mercedes got German suplex, and all the shoes are gonna go everywhere, and that one guy's gonna animate all the Sonic rings going everywhere where the shoes go flying.
That's so funny. All right, we got Infamous Reno Loco who says that performance deserves new followers. So for those of you who missed it, I performed slow motion in a guitar country style right before the show. Tune into the watch alongs. Frank also gifted another 5 DWO memberships. Hell yeah, dude. Thank you so much, man. Thank you. We got Tracy WV who says, wow. Tracy was the one who we did the bet for the Seth Rollins thing. She says, wow, that was painful to watch, but you did it. Yep. I did it. That's all that matters. We got Sleazeboy here who says, in regards to the burn Nikki Bella got, Denise, tell her to DM me and I'll appear with her next week. Be hotter than Becky and Seth, unless Asuka and Kyrie hit me up to make Io jealous. Hey, Sleazeboy, shoot your shot, bro. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, man. Thank you, Sleazeboy. Let's get into that right now because that was a hell of a moment, man. So Becky Lynch goes out there, right, and she's talking her shit. She's talking about being Intercontinental Champion, being the best, whatever. She's being Becky, right? And she starts talking about how she needs more competition and where's the competition. So at that point, all of the fans basically know, hey, somebody else is going to come out right now, but we didn't really know who that other person was going to be. It ended up being Nikki Bella. And they had like a pretty lengthy promo, right? And in the beginning, you're wondering like, what's this going to be? We ended up getting 2 burns, one of which nearly killed me and killed many people with like shock and laughter and all of that. But one of the things that Becky told Nikki was she brought up Happy Gilmore too, because both of them were in the movie, except unfortunately Nikki Bella's parts got cut in the movie, so her parts didn't make it. So Becky rubbed it in. But then the part that stung, the part that hurt, the part that Nikki could not come back from was the moment when she brought up John Cena and how they were once, could have been the hot couple, but instead it's Becky and Seth. But the way that she worded it and how she did it, everybody popped for that. What'd you think, Tempest?
Well, it's a matter of taste, isn't it? I mean, I cannot look at this segment and say that it did not work for the people in the crowd, particularly that moment. Like, it was getting holy shit chants. People were just stood up, going out of their minds. I've not seen a reaction to just a line in a promo like this in a very long time. So I have to give them... Someone mentioned
since Charlotte and Tiffany. Remember when she brought up Charlotte's divorces? Yeah, I think it's been since then.
And at least this one felt like they probably okayed this with each other ahead of time, unlike that one. But yeah, I'm a tough audience for something like this. I have never really been much of a Nikki Bella fan personally, and I know that that'll get me chastised.
Don't worry, I love Nikki Bella, so
certain
even Steven's here. I love Nikki.
Yeah, we balance each other out that way. But I thought that what they were doing with the segment at points was very interesting because they played a lot with when Becky Lynch debuted and where both women were at in their careers at the time. Nikki Bella talking about that was my era and you showed up and you were this meek, insecure girl, unwilling to take the big step up and challenge me one-on-one at the time and everything like that. And of course, that's all kayfabe and, not true. I mean, maybe it is, but, for the sake of kayfabe, that's a storyline quote. But then Becky starts saying that, well, she arrived at that time because she was trying to rescue the women's division from Nikki Bella and her era. And I was there. I remember that. That's very much true. So that felt like that kind of, oh, there's a little bit of like the reality kind of being woven into the storyline, which I enjoyed. I enjoyed that, like, hey, I remember that. That feels like someone telling the truth as opposed to just a little bit of kayfabe. Other than that, my one kind of gripe with this, and maybe it's just because I feel like we've seen it a lot, is I would really love a promo segment between, top women like this to not devolve into just taking shots at their partners and, oh, you got broken up with by this person and whatnot.
But damn, does it sting, though?
It worked for the crowd. So for the sake of that, I can't say that it wasn't successful tonight. But for my taste, I feel like every time someone's going to go out there and like do a dig at Seth Rollins instead, oh, your wife's a bigger star than you, and something like that. I just feel like we've really hit that dead horse a lot. And, I feel like that goes both ways with Nikki Bella and with Becky Lynch. Like that we've retread over that talking point a lot. I was much more interested in the kind of real life, state of the women's division type thing that they were going for. But obviously we can see which one worked better for the live audience. So again, personal taste.
Yeah, it was definitely one of those moments where you're just like, ouch, oh, she's dead already. Stop it, Becky, stop it. I thought she had already gotten her with the Happy Gilmore thing, because I thought, that's a pretty rough thing, for anybody to, when you get casted in a movie or a TV show, it's a really big deal and you feel so happy and so excited. And then for your moment to be cut and then for it to be like the biggest Netflix movie ever. Tempest, you, me, and everybody here would be hella depressed if we got cut from the biggest movie of Netflix ever. We'd be depressed, right? So I felt like it was such a sick burn already, but then the John Cena stuff, just threw it over the top. I feel like Becky right now is just, she's just, I feel like we say this a lot about Becky, that she's constantly on another level, but she's constantly peeling different layers to herself and what more she can do. And the new theme song, it gives her so much of that attitude, like, I'm coming down the ring, I'm the man, like, screw you all. That's the vibe that I'm getting from Becky, and I love it.
Yeah. I thought, as you were saying about Happy Gilmore and getting your part cut, I was like, yeah, she could have thrown that back that Seth Rollins had his part in Captain America earlier this year.
So right.
And I'm like, wait, no, I just said they shouldn't bring up their husbands and their wives and everything. But
wait, what movie was it? It was the superhero movie, right?
Yeah, it was Captain America earlier this year.
You know what, though? I have a feeling that because I completely forgot about that, but you're right. But I have a feeling maybe that one might be a little bit more touchy,
Yeah.
That's probably why they didn't go for it.
Hey,
oh, man,
Seth Rollins
that's so
could have been in the
funny.
MCU. But as far as Becky Lynch goes, I totally agree. And it made me remember that another one of the talking points in this promo segment that didn't quite land with me, because I don't believe that it's like entirely truthful, was when Nikki Bella was saying to Becky, like, this isn't your era. This isn't your division and everything. And I'm like, it kind of is. Like, she's not the world champion. So in that sense, I kind of get it. Like, technically, as far as the card goes, there are people who are above her. But Becky Lynch has been pretty fucking undeniable for a very long time now. Like, those WrestleMania matches, the WrestleMania main events, all of these things, Becky Lynch could very easily be considered the most successful women's wrestler in WWE history. And to go out there and, like, kind of diminish, what she's saying or any, at least attempt to, I was like, I don't believe you. And you're the baby face in this segment.
When she said she was disappointed in her. And I'm thinking, like, I get disappointed in terms of how she behaves, but I think the way it was worded was disappointed in her accomplishments.
It's like, how could you possibly? She was the first woman to win the WrestleMania main event. The most undeniable resume over the last 5 to 10 years, outside of, I guess, on paper, like a Charlotte Flair or something like that. not the person I would describe as having had a disappointing career by
No,
any stretch of
definitely
the
not.
imagination. So it was one of those things, and maybe that's just because I am a bigger Becky Lynch fan than I am a Nikki Bella fan. But I listened to what Becky Lynch was saying, and I was like, I agree with the points that you're making, and I don't quite agree with a lot of the points that Nikki Bella is making. So maybe that threw off my kind of perception of the whole segment just a little bit. But again, I keep going personal taste. It worked for the people in the crowd.
And we also, because this kind of ties into that, we also had a Bayley Lyra backstage segment where Bayley and Lyra were sort of both looking for each other. And Lyra told her, I'm done with you. Like, you and me, we don't work. Stay away from me. And unfortunately, Bayley didn't look like she attempted to screw Lyra legitimately in their matchup at the matchup at SummerSlam with Becky Lynch, but she did. And so Lyra's fed up, man. What happens here? What do we finish this off? Does she actually stay away? Does Bayley turn heel? Does one of them go to SmackDown? I don't know. What do you think is the best possible scenario here? Because it still feels like there's more that can be done.
Absolutely. This was one of the times that I thought they did play off what happened at SummerSlam very well on this show, because this was a very natural reaction to what happened. It wasn't this big heel turn on the night. It wasn't Lyra attacking Bayley backstage or anything like that. It was just Lyra having a very human realization of like, listen, we clearly don't work. We're not good for each other. So I'm not your friend. I'm not going to be your enemy. I don't need to fight you over this. Just leave me alone. And it felt almost like a breakup in that sense, where you can feel like this is really toxic and not working for us. And I don't want to argue about it. I just want us to go our separate ways, and we'll be both better off for it. I really like that dynamic. And if that is to continue, if these two are to continue to interact with one another, how you are then taking those people who one person just wants to be left alone and the other maybe is looking for some kind of, acceptance from the other, forgiveness from the other, whatever. Maybe that can drive a potential heel turn from one side or the other, where what happens when you don't leave the person that just wants to be left alone? I think that's a really interesting character dynamic that they could explore, and either person could turn heel out of it. That I think is really interesting. Having that be able to go either way leads to so much more intrigue in the actual segments, because you will not know which way it's going to go. I think that bit, a fantastic potential storyline that they could do.
The part that you mentioned about any of them turning heel, and how if someone, think about it, if someone doesn't leave you alone, at some point you might crack. You might be like, I'm fed up already. You might snap. And I can see that happening with Lyra, where she finally goes, I freaking had it. She has a moment where that's it. She implodes. She's a mad woman suddenly. So I could see it happening that way, or I could see it be in a situation where Bayley starts to feel like, what? Everybody is dissing me. Everybody's disrespecting me in every single possible way that one can be disrespected. I've had it. I'm going to, go evil or whatever, right? So I do see both scenarios can be playing out here. So we'll see what happens. We got Infamous Raider Loco, who says, so we getting triple threat in Paris, Seth, Punk, LA Knight. I don't know if it'll be a triple threat. I mean, they both still have claim, right? Because, well, here's the thing. You might actually be right, because LA Knight still has claim. He got a DQ. His match ended in a DQ. Punk ruined it, so maybe he'll be thrown in there as well. Yeah, I could see a possibility where this happens. What do you think, Tempest?
This was very much my impression from having watched this, that they will probably want to build to a big Seth and Punk match, maybe like a Hell in a Cell type match at some point down the line. But the way to keep them involved with one another and keep LA Knight again in the mix of the world title scene is to do a triple threat match. And I'm sure LA Knight would get pinned in that match, but it gives those three guys something to do. There's your world title match for the next pay-per-view. And at the same time, if you're looking at Roman Reigns and what he's got going on at the moment, I think a singles match between him and Bronson Reed, where Roman Reigns wins his shoes back, could also really easily fit into the card in Paris.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking, by the way, of Clash in Paris, we are going to be getting next week a match between Naomi and Io because Io said, you know what? I didn't get pinned. She told Rhea this. I didn't get pinned in that triple threat. I spoke with Adam Pearce and a match has been made for the title. So now whoever wins from Naomi and Io will go on to face Stephanie over at Clash in Paris. And we did get a Naomi Stephanie little confrontation, which was hilarious. But is there a chance here that Naomi loses? Because I feel like we're kind of in a position where everyone loves Naomi and what she's doing, and everyone's excited and would like to see her have this great title reign. But at the exact same time, we all know that Stephanie versus Io is the match people want to see. So how do you go about that?
It's really interesting, isn't it? I always find it a bit of like not an issue, but it's a choice you have to make when you have a champion like a Naomi or what have you, where it's clear that they're very over, like as a character, as a wrestler. Everybody is very much behind Naomi this year in particular. But since she's won the title, it hasn't felt like they have given her the big, like, clean win. You know, every one of her wins, she wins the title in a Money in the Bank fashion. She retains the title at SummerSlam by rolling someone up after they hit their finish on someone else. Like, she's not just standing tall, having beaten everybody else in the field. She's not stacking them up like Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. You know what I mean? So going into a singles match against Io, that to me says, okay, they could either do some tomfoolery and, you know, they could go out and have a count out or a DQ or something like that, or this could be their opportunity to say, hey, Naomi is someone to be taken extremely seriously. She is going to be someone that you can assume is just going to beat her opponent because she's a strong, dominant, well-pushed champion. If she's kind of like a chicken shit heel champion, that could also work, but I think it makes a lot of these other title matches a bit more like just difficult to predict, and not in a ooh, what's going to happen kind of way. But like you said, everybody kind of looks at this and go, well, Io has been pushed well ahead of Naomi for most of this year. So one would just think, looking at it on paper, that she's going to win the title and then go on to the match that everyone wants to see. But because it's so early in Naomi's title run, it feels like she's going to beat Io. And if she does it clean, I have to think that's one of the biggest wins Naomi will have had throughout her entire career. Like, that's a huge one to hang your hat on. So I think we're going to go in that direction, but Io has surprised us all this year, winning titles on Raw already, so you really never know. And I guess, again, that's a good little, like, unpredictable problem to have.
Yeah, I think you made some really great points there in that. One, first of all, yeah, I agree with you. I don't want to see Naomi as a chicken shit heel. I don't want to see that type of role because I think she's been having to prove herself a whole lot. So the chicken shit heel stuff doesn't work for her, for this character, because she has to prove herself. Now, if she does remain champion longer, you're right. It does erase the element of predictability. And sometimes we struggle with that where we know, hey, this person's not going to lose. This person's not going to lose. We've had that with so many champions. We haven't really had a champion where we're not really sure when they're actually going to lose or if they can lose at any given time. So I do like that aspect because I do think sometimes we can predict most of these championship matches. Not all, but most. So I do think those are some great points and things that we do have some pros with Naomi. By the way, we got Ara, let me see, what is it? Arrow no orange? Arrow no orange? Okay, I want to make sure I get that right.
Aaron Orange.
No, it's not Aaron. Oh, Aaron. Oh, yeah, you're right. Aaron Orange. Okay, it's because I see for me, Aaron has double A's. So that's how I was like, Aaron. All right.
Maybe
Aaron,
it's a Pokemon reference. There's a Pokemon called Aaron and it's Aron. Maybe it's that. Who's to say?
Okay.
Let us know in the chat.
Yes, please do. And also, thank you so much for the super chat. It says, I'm loving the friend narrative around the women. That's true. You got the situation with Bailey and Lyra. You got the situation with Charlotte and Alexa. And they're both so different, right? Like so different.
Yeah.
And I like that because it adds layers to these stories. And you want to make them as cute. They want to make them as legitimate as possible, right? Like real stories that we can see happen in everyday life. Or as close
That's
you
it.
can.
Like for a really long time, one of the biggest negative talking points about WWE's women's booking, this is like going back to the Vince era, was that every story felt like, oh, we're friends, and then there's a random heel turn, and how could you do that to me? We're friends. And it always involved Natalia for whatever reason. Natalia was like best
Natalia
friends
was
with
involved
everyone.
today too.
Yeah, like Natalia was best friends, quote unquote, with Nikki Bella back in the early SmackDown brand split days. She was best friends with Ronda Rousey, and then they had their falling out. It always just felt like they didn't know how to actually portray friendship. They just said that they were friends for the sake of trying to manipulate the audience into caring about a random heel turn. But now the difference is that these friendship dynamics are actually very well presented, that people want to see Alexa and Charlotte be friends. And the result, as we've already said, of Lyra and Bailey having their fallout from SummerSlam was a very realistic human reaction to what would have happened. So just the change in dynamic and presentation there has turned the friends thing that used to be a really bad thing about WWE's women's booking to, I think, one of the greatest strengths of making a lot more of the rivalries and the storylines that aren't involving the tippy top titles really mean something. That is a big thumbs up from me.
Yeah, man. I think the whole part about them not being able to get friendships right before, I feel that. I feel that. But like even today, like when we had Charlotte and Alexa out there doing their promo, like it was little things like that that you want to keep seeing because that's the selling point in Charlotte and Alexa is anytime they are together, I want to see them interact. It's not just the wrestling. I want to see the personality come through that I enjoy from their dynamic. So I'm with you on that. And we did get a rematch today. It was a good match. It was fine. But there wasn't, that was kind of about it. I think to me, the biggest point was the fact that we actually got to see more of Charlotte and Alexa kind of, talk out in the ring and have their little moments out there. Like some really cute thought out stuff.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you so much.
completely agree. Completely agree. I thought the Charlotte and Alexa stuff was like very cute. Seeing Charlotte go out there and be like, "Oh, I don't think I've ever gotten a you deserve a chance."
She might even be right.
Good for you, Charlotte. You bask.
Yeah.
You bask in this moment that you do deserve. I liked their little back and forth that they had. It was cute. It felt like Charlotte was trying to get Alexa to like finish her sentences, but they're not good friends yet. So Alexa would say something else, and she'd be like, "No, nothing." And just kind of getting caught up in a like still wholesome kind of way. Yeah, the match I thought was fine, generally speaking. I thought their match at the pay-per-view was a lot better. And I thought it kind of came down to like the finishing sequence at SummerSlam was really good. That whole deal with the punch and then is Charlotte going to turn on her? All of that was the highlight of that match. Whereas on this show, the finish just kind of came out of nowhere, it felt like. It didn't feel like they were really gradually building up to a big thing. It just felt like, Alexa hit the Sister Abigail and got the win. So that's fine. It's a TV women's tag title, title defense. It's all well and good by that stretch. But yeah, I thought the interplay between them at the beginning was the highlight of their whole segment.
I'm with you. We got Uncle Donk here who says, "Hey fam, how was Raw tonight?" It was an okay show. I think the ending was definitely worth tuning into with all of the Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Seth Rollins stuff that went down. But like everything else, I mean, you're probably going to be seeing people talk about the Becky Lynch and Nikki Bella stuff. That stuff was good, but everything else was pretty missable for the most part. So an okay show. Thank you, Uncle Donk. We got Lewis Rothel here who says shoe collector Bronson to appear in NXT AAA TNA. Bro, I'm telling you, collect your shoes, Bronson. We're with you. We're supporting you. Frank here says we can't do triple threat Io, Naomi, Stephanie, especially with the possibility of men's world title match with Punk, Steph, Knight. Can we? I mean, who's to say we can't? I mean, for WrestleMania, God, Didn't we have like the whole theme of the weekend was triple threat matches for a lot of it?
Yeah.
So there's no rule that says we can't get a triple threat, multiple.
Yeah. I do wonder about, if we're just speculating that those are going to be the matches. I'm not sure that the women's one will turn into a triple threat, but we will see. At that point, I'm like, is this just your way of getting away with not having to pin any of your top stars one-on-one? And that's a fine thing if you build a really good, narratively sound triple threat match where all the people have a reason to be there and everything. But at a certain point, I do just want to see a match where the better wrestler just beats the other wrestler, without a third person and everything, kind of muddying it up. So again, not sure that that's going to be what we'll see in Paris, but if it is, you gotta give me a singles match at some point.
We got Stephen Marchuli here who says the match I'm looking forward to is Stephanie versus Rhea. Yeah, whenever they decide to finally do that, that shit's going to be a banger. And of course, a lot of people want to see Io and Stephanie on a PLE done even more bigger. Run back Io and Rhea. I'm down with that too. There's just all of these girls. We just kind of want to see them keep doing their thing because they really are doing a fantastic job. So thank you so much, Steven. All right, I want to jump into Rusev and Sheamus. They were someone that we were kind of seeing weaved in and out of the show for a bit where they were brawling. Here's the thing. I've been seeing mixed reactions in this. Like, let me just start off by saying Rusev and Sheamus hasn't been terrible, but it also hasn't been something where I think people want to see it as much as they're kind of giving it to us. Feels like they're kind of shoving it down our throats a little bit, like they're really trying to make it a thing. And I feel like we need to get one more match, make it a stip, and then let's call it a day and move on.
Yeah, it's a cold feud. Like, it's not bad when it's on TV, but generally speaking, the people in the buildings don't really care about it. It doesn't feel like something that matters a whole lot. And this is something that, if you look at it as kind of a broader issue, I find that anytime there are these feuds that just are located exclusively on WWE TV and never cross over to pay-per-views, it almost feels like, well, if it's not a big enough match to be on a pay-per-view and it's been going on for all these months, it can't really be that important. It feels like just a TV feud. And as a result, you're maybe a little bit less likely to care about it, particularly if there's nothing really on the line, if this is about, their history in the League of Nations or whatnot. Like, it's not a huge narrative hook to really pull you in. And that, again, builds off of, I don't think Rusev has been portrayed particularly strongly since he's come back, and it's been a long time since he was in a prominent spot in any promotion. And I don't really put very much of the blame for that on the other promotions, if what we have heard is to be believed. So, I don't know, it's just a weird, he's in limbo, and he's been in limbo for a very long time, and you'd think that a match between him, this big, hard-hitting European guy, and Sheamus, another big, hard-hitting European guy, that would do well for each other, but it just doesn't really matter that much. It's fine for what it is, but it's one of those deals where if it just keeps going, it's like, okay, I didn't care about watching it today, and they didn't have a finish. That means we're going to get it again. And I don't really care about seeing it again either, so I know we're not close to the end of this, when maybe we should be.
Dude, I'm just like, all right, I feel kind of bad because, again, I think they realized that this feud is cold, and that's why we saw them try to do so much today, where they were like, oh, they're fighting here, they're fighting there, they're fighting here. But even then, the fight backstage was just like there wasn't anything real fun or exciting about it. So I don't know what it is that it's not bad, like we said, but it's also not something that is riveting that everybody is clamoring for at the moment. So it's kind of where we're at. That's why I'm kind of thinking, let's just do the one big blow off match. Let's have a Donnybrook match or something and move about our days and see what else can come of it. I don't know why Rusev's return to WWE hasn't felt good. I don't know what it is, because by in theory, like you said, two of these meaty guys and then these hard-hitting dudes, for the most part, you would think on paper this is going to be a banger, but for whatever reason, it's just a little bit too cold. We got to put it back in the microwave and or don't eat it. It's one of the two options. I don't know what to say. All right, we got Terrence Matthews. Hey, Terrence, thank you so much for tuning into the stream. Says, I'm guessing that this beating was a way of writing Roman Reigns off for a while. I don't think so. I mean, maybe like a week or two. I know he's supposed to be gone and doing things in Hollywood and projects and things of that nature. But I mean, 3 tsunamis is a pretty big deal. Seth Rollins was out, but he took like 40 tsunamis. So I don't know how long the 3, because I feel like here's the thing. We've seen people take 3 tsunamis and then come back the next week. So I don't know that it necessarily screams being written off, but given that we know that Roman does have other things that are coming up, it might possibly be.
Yeah, he's got to go and be in Street Fighter like a real nerd, like the other 4 wrestlers that are in that movie for whatever reason. Yeah, I mean, when Roman Reigns gets hit a bunch of times with a big finish, one has to believe that he's being written off just because he's barely on TV at this point in his career. But I personally think he's going to wrestle Bronson Reed one-on-one in Paris. So maybe he's off TV for a couple weeks and then is on the go-home show for that pay-per-view and then does that match and we can move on from there. But I certainly understand the feeling of seeing Roman get hit with a finish and going, well, that's the end of him for a little while.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because everyone's just like, well, we got him at SummerSlam. We're getting him on Raw too. What? We're getting all this Roman? What do we do? Yeah, we got lucky here. We got Terrence who also says it's time for Lyra to move on to a bigger prize. I feel like being women's the inaugural Intercontinental Champion did feel like a pretty damn massive prize, like for sure. Like being the first, and she had a lengthy reign, and she has a big feud with Becky. I think it's pretty good. Pretty good. Thank you, Terrence.
Yep.
All right. And the last thing that I do want to get into is Dominic Mysterio defeating Dragon Lee, but with the help of 3 Grande Americanos. They didn't really zoom in on who the other Grande Americano was. Did I miss something here? Who's the other third one?
I don't have the answer to this. I gave like a cursory glance at Twitter in case just anybody was like, oh, that was clearly so-and-so. And I'd be like, okay, yes, cool. I didn't see anything. So I don't know. I don't know.
That's what I was wondering too. Because I'm like, okay, there's the other one, which I'm assuming was Chad Gable. It all just happened so fast because there was just a lot going on there. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, wait, there's another one? When did he get here? What? It all just happened so fast. And we didn't necessarily get like an emphasis on the 3rd Grande Americano. So I didn't feel like I got the very, very best look at that. Let me see what people are throwing out there. Some people are saying Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate, probably in QCC. I don't know. One of them says, I think one of them is Santino. I mean, let's be real. We don't really have a concrete answer here. So I kind of wish that they would have maybe shined the light a little bit more on the 3rd one, just so we can kind of get a little bit of a good look-see there. But I'm not really feeling so confident in what we saw, but I'm getting more Tyler Bate answers than anything. So I guess we'll run with that for now. But there you have it, guys. That was Raw after SummerSlam. So a pretty okay show. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. And of course, I want to thank Tempest because Tempest filled in for both 2 nights of SummerSlam and then filled in for Santi here today. So thank you so much, man. I hope you had a good time talking all of this wrestling all in one go, back to back to back. And actually, before we get to our goodbyes, Frank just gave a really kind super chat over here, and he says, women are money. This is for Tempest. DWO needs to happen at some point, but have appreciated at Team Denise. I'm pushing it. LOL, crossing for future collabs. I really connected with Tempest on Wrestle Talk, so for me, this was epic. Shout out to you both. Much love and respect. Stephanie Chump. Frank, you're the best, man. You're the best, man. Hands down, guys. Please give some love to Frank in the chat, seriously, because he's just been super supportive of this channel so freaking much, and it's just been magnificent. So thank you so much, Frank. But also, Tempest, what a way to go out, man.
What a way to go out indeed. I mean, this weekend has been an absolute pleasure. I very much enjoyed my time here on the channel for as much as it has completely completely disrupted my sleep schedule. I'm going to spend the rest of my week getting it back to normal. But it's 4:30 in the morning here, and I am wired. I had 2 Red Bulls tonight. So I have been prepared. I am very much enjoying my time here. I thank you, Denise, very, very much for inviting me onto the channel. I thank you all in the chat for being so lovely and welcoming. If you want to hear more from me, you will probably be able to do so very, very soon. If you like video essays and things of that sort, you can find some over on my YouTube channel at Hey It's Tempest. I should be releasing a new one, hopefully in the fairly near future. I like to do them on wrestling, as it has been my calling in life, to talk about this weird little thing that goes on between those 3 ropes. So if you like that, check it out. My YouTube channel is where you'll find me.
I love that. And also, I'm sorry, I didn't even realize it was 4:30 for you, by the way. Holy shit. Guys, he's doing a show right here, 4:30 a.m. That is fucking amazing. Thank you so much for doing that, because that's not something I would sign up for, honestly. I'd be like, not 4:30, screw you. I'm out, baby. So thank you so much for downing the Red Bulls and appearing on the show and providing as much analysis as you did. Frank, thank you so much for the super chat. And with that, guys, please check out Tempest. Go follow him on the YouTube channels, on the social medias, all of that. For me, just make sure you guys are subscribed here. You're already here on the channel. Click that subscribe button. Head on over to Instagram, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, all of that. Denise Salcedo @ Denise Salcedo. Click that follow button. Thank you guys so much, and I will be back tomorrow for an NXT review. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye, everyone.